This is the vegetable that breaks every rule of the garden. It does not taste like a vegetable. It tastes like luxury seafood. For centuries, it was the secret weapon of inland cooks who could not get fresh fish, a root that, when fried, mimics the flavor and texture of a scallop or an oyster. So perfectly, it became a culinary legend. But this plant does more than just trick your palate. It is a survival engine. While your standard garden crops turn to mush in the first frost, this root stays in the ground, alive and waiting. In fact, the colder it gets, the sweeter it becomes. Yet, you cannot find it in the grocery store. It has been effectively erased from the American diet, replaced by a colorful, watery imposter that offers a fraction of the nutrition. This is the story of Tragopogon porrifolius, the vegetable oyster, and the industrial obsession with perfection that killed it. Welcome to Ancestral Yields. If you are ready to stop eating what they sell you and start growing what they hid from you, smash that like button and subscribe. Let's dig in. To understand why this plant matters, we have to go back to a time before the refrigerator truck. In the 18th and 19th centuries, if you lived inland, in the Midwest, the Appalachians, or even just 50 miles from the coast, fresh seafood was a fantasy. Oysters were a craze, a symbol of high living. But they were perishable and expensive. Enter Tragopogon porrifolius. Known to history as Salsify, this unassuming root became the poor man's oyster. But don't let the name fool you. It wasn't just for the poor. It was a staple of high-end dining. Thomas Jefferson, arguably America's most famous gardener, cultivated it extensively at Monticello. He didn't view it as a he viewed it as an essential winter crop, planting it in rows right alongside his peas and lettuce. Throughout the Victorian era, Salsify was a superstar. Open any cookbook from 1850 to 1920, like the early editions of The Joy of Cooking, and you will find recipes for mock oyster soup and salsify fritters. It bridged the class divide. For the wealthy, it was a novelty that added variety to winter banquets. For the working class, it was a lifeline, a source of hearty, savory calories that could be harvested with a shovel in January when the potatoes had run out. It was the ultimate comfort food, providing a savory, umami-rich experience in a landscape of bland tubers. When we analyze the vegetable oyster against the crops that replaced it, the results are embarrassing for modern agriculture. We traded density for water content. A standard 100-gram serving of Salsify packs roughly 18.6 grams of carbohydrates. Compare that to the carrot, which trails behind at just under 10 grams. You are getting nearly double the energy density per bite. But here is the critical difference. Unlike the potato, which is a starch bomb that spikes your insulin, Salsify burns slow. This is because Salsify is one of the richest natural sources of inulin. Inulin is a specific type of prebiotic fiber that bypasses digestion in the stomach and heads straight to the gut to feed beneficial bacteria. A standard serving of Salsify provides about 3.3 grams of inulin, and because it is largely inulin, it helps regulate blood sugar rather than spike it. Compare this to the potato, which is essentially a biological sugar bomb of starch. Salsify offers a slow burn energy release, making it a diabetic-friendly superfood long before we understood diabetes. And finally, we have to talk about electrolytes. We are conditioned to eat bananas for potassium to stop muscle cramps. A medium banana offers about 422 milligrams of potassium. Salsify is right on its heels. A 100-gram serving delivers roughly 380 milligrams of potassium. Compare that to the standard carrot, which trails behind at 320 milligrams. When you eat Salsify, you are not just eating a crunchy water vessel. You are eating a low glycemic index, mineral-heavy root. So, where does that oyster flavor come from? It is not magic. It is chemistry. The root contains a unique profile of volatile compounds and minerals trapped in the skin. When you boil and then fry the root, the texture firms up, becoming distinctively chewy like a scallop, while those compounds release a savory, brine-like aroma. It is nature's own plant-based seafood, engineered by evolution, not a lab. If salsify is so nutritious and delicious, why isn't it in the produce section of Whole Foods? The answer is simple and shallow. It failed the beauty pageant. Salsify is arguably one of the most visually unappealing vegetables you will ever grow. It looks like a dead, dirty stick. It has a brownish-gray, corky skin covered in hairy rootlets. It doesn't grow in a perfect, tapering cone like a carrot. It forks and branches unpredictably. In the 20th century, the grocery store model took over. This system is not built on flavor. It is built on visual uniformity. Shoppers buy with their eyes. We have been conditioned to believe that bright colors equal health. The orange carrot, a Dutch invention bred specifically for its color, became the poster child of vitamins. It is smooth, straight, and scrubs up to a brilliant neon orange. Salsify stood no chance in this visual economy. We traded a mineral-dense metabolic booster for a watery orange root simply because the orange root looked better on a magazine cover. But the suppression of salsify wasn't just about looks, it was about industrial processing. Salsify belongs to the Asteraceae family, making it a cousin to lettuce and dandelions. Like its cousins, it contains a milky white latex sap. If you take a raw salsify root and try to peel it like a carrot, your hands will instantly become covered in a sticky glue-like substance. Worse, the moment the raw flesh hits the oxygen in the air, it oxidizes, turning brown and spotted within minutes. For the home cook, this is a minor annoyance. You simply peel it under a bowl of water with a little lemon juice, or better yet, you boil the roots whole for 10 minutes, after which the skin slips off effortlessly like a beet, with no sticky mess. But for the industrial food complex, this was a deal breaker. You cannot run salsify through a massive, high-speed abrasive tumbler. You cannot have a vegetable that gums up the blades of an automated peeler. You cannot sell a pre-cut veggie tray if the vegetable turns brown in the package. The canning industry tried to make salsify work in the early 1900s, but the labor costs of hand peeling were too high. So, they dropped it. Salsify was not canceled because people stopped liking the taste. It was canceled because it broke the machines. The good news is, you do not need a factory to eat salsify. You just need a patch of dirt and some patience. Salsify is a biennial. You plant the seeds in the spring and you harvest the roots in the fall or winter. It prefers loose, sandy soil. If your ground is hard clay, fork it deeply, or the roots will fork and split. But here's the best part. You do not need a root cellar. Salsify is incredibly hardy. You can leave the roots in the garden, frozen solid underground, all through January and February. When you want dinner, you just go outside with a shovel. The freezing temperatures actually convert the starches into sugars, improving the flavor. A critical note on safety. Be careful if you decide to forage for it. Salsify has escaped cultivation and grows wild across much of North America. It is easy to identify when flowering because it has a distinct purple flower that looks like a giant dandelion, hence its other name, purple goat's beard. But be warned, The most dangerous mistake a forager can make is confusing a root vegetable with poison hemlock or water hemlock, which are deadly. Salsify has grass-like leaves. They are long, thin, and parallel-veined, looking almost like leeks or tall grass. Hemlock has leaves that look like parsley or ferns, lacy and triangular. If the plant has lacy, fern-like leaves, do not touch it. Only dig roots from plants with long, grass-like leaves. To be 100% safe, do not wild forage roots until you are an expert. Instead, buy certified Tragopogon porrifolius seeds from reputable suppliers like Baker Creek, Seed Savers Exchange, or Johnny's Selected Seeds. They are cheap, available online, and guarantee you are growing the real vegetable oyster. Look for the variety Mammoth Sandwich Island. This is the classic improved variety with large, straight roots. We have been sold a lie that convenience is the same thing as quality. We were taught that vegetables should be uniform, bright, and easy to peel. In that pursuit of perfection, we lost the flavors that defined our ancestors' tables. Growing Salsify is a small act of rebellion. It is a choice to embrace the ugly, the sticky, and the difficult, because you know the reward is something money cannot buy. It is a choice to pull a mineral-dense, savory oyster out of the frozen ground, while the rest of the world eats flavorless carrots shipped from 2,000 miles away. So find some Mammoth Sandwich Island seeds, dedicate a row in your garden to the ugly duckling of the root cellar, and taste the history that the supermarket threw away. If you enjoyed digging up this forgotten history, make sure you're subscribed to Ancestral Yields. We have plenty more lost crops to uncover. Until next time, keep growing.